Let's talk to Peter Cardwell, a man who needs no airbrushing whatsoever. He's TALKradio's political editor. He's down in College Green, waiting for the action to start between the European Union and Rishi Sunak. Peter, I see you were feeling a bit cold earlier, but I see you've removed the scarf now.
Indeed, the sun is out a little bit. Well, slightly going behind the cloud now, Mike, but it's definitely a bit warmer now, and those relations between the EU and the UK will hopefully be warmed up as well. Ursula von der Leyen has tweeted that she's arrived. I'm glad to be in the UK today to meet Prime Minister Rishi Sunak. I'm looking forward to turning a page and opening a new chapter with our partner and friend. That's what she has to say. She arrived on the Eurostar within the last hour or so.
Okay. So, I mean, in terms of the deal itself, I mean, as you know, mostly this will have been done presumably by civil servants over the weekend, and basically there's Ursula von der Leyen's tweet there, for those of you who haven't seen it, arriving in the Ursula. Luckily, there's no strikes today, I suppose. You'll be able to get into Downing Street reasonably quickly.
Yes, indeed. Well, they're actually meeting in Berkshire, in Windsor, and she's going to meet the King as well this afternoon. There was some controversy over that, over whether she should actually meet the King or not, but she is the President of the European Commission, and that will happen, and that's a decision that the King has made. But Rishi Sunak has been criticised for attempting, some people say, to bring the King into the politics of this, and a very, very controversial issue. But certainly there will be those negotiations, the final negotiations, and then probably a press conference this afternoon as well, where both leaders will speak. And then the big question will be whether Rishi Sunak's own party will accept the deal, because he'll come back to the House of Commons behind me here, and he will put the deal to his MPs. And Labour have said, Keir Starmer and other Labour MPs have said they're probably going to be fairly happy with this. The problem will be his own party. But I was actually speaking to a former cabinet minister earlier on today, said, look, maybe 20 or 30 people rebelling against this, certainly not the 100 or so that have been touted to rebel against this.
I mean, they've certainly been pushing the narrative that this is not 2019, and lots of people have sort of moved on from those very hard-line attitudes on Brexit, where, you know, I certainly remember 2019 sitting exactly where you're standing for hours on end, watching stalemate after stalemate after stalemate. I even had to come and do a show on a Saturday, I seem to remember, when they decided they'd have a chat about it. And then nothing happened on the Saturday either. You know, it was relentlessly, relentlessly just nothing was moving, whereas it seems as though that's changed, doesn't it?
Yes, I think things are moving. I think a deal will be done today, and it is certainly through the Theresa May period of office. It was very stop-start. There were lots and lots of very tough negotiations and huge rebellions, and I think that has sort of exhausted a little bit. And of course, every candidate for the Conservatives in 2019 had to sign up to Boris Johnson's deal. That will be amended by a new deal today, and we'll see what actually that brings out. So the Conservative Party may have a fairly muted rebellion in this. There will, of course, be all eyes on people like Ian Duncan Smith and others, if they're standing up, big well-known Eurosceptics, people like John Redwood as well, if they stand up and say this is a rubbish deal and we should vote against it, well, that may change some minds. But the DUP, with its 9 MPs, may well vote against it. But it doesn't matter so much here in Westminster. It matters quite a lot 300 miles away in Belfast, where if they decide to go back into government with Sinn Féin in Northern Ireland, because that's been suspended since October in terms of ministers in Belfast. So that's one of the other many facets of this. It not only involves the Europeans, the UK Parliament, the Northern Ireland Assembly, the Americans, the Republic of Ireland. I mean, there are just so many different elements to this, and Rishi Sunak really is playing a game of three-dimensional chess here. Yeah,
he really is. And do you suspect that the losers in all of this will be the DUP, because they are perhaps the least, to him anyway, important?
Yes, I think certainly in terms of they have 7 tests on this, and one of them is that they don't want the European Court of Justice, the EU Court of Justice, anywhere near this. And they have jurisdiction at the moment in Northern Ireland. They say that's ridiculous. Why has the ECJ got jurisdiction in Northern Ireland when there's nowhere else in the United Kingdom where they have jurisdiction? I think Rishi Sunak may be able to erode that a little bit to reduce the ECJ's jurisdiction in Northern Ireland, but I don't think he'll get rid of it completely. So it'll be interesting to see what the DUP does in that regard. It seems quite technical, it seems quite boring in many ways, but to them it's absolutely fundamental, because they, as unionists, would say they want to be treated exactly the same way as everybody else in the United Kingdom.
And this week, you know, Cabinet's back. There's not just European business to talk about. There's another nurses' strike that's been called off. There's more teachers' strikes. There's more rail strikes, I think, next weekend. What's going on that, on all those fronts?
Yes, there's lots for the Cabinet to deal with. They'll meet formally tomorrow, but they'll be briefed on this deal this afternoon via Zoom. Certainly in terms of the energy price cap as well, that's something that Cabinet will undoubtedly be talking about tomorrow. Those bills that everybody's been talking about today, and I know you've had callers and texters and tweeters on this as well. And there are many, many other issues that many people, I would imagine, in England, Scotland, Wales say are just actually much more fundamental to how they live their lives. And I think that's kind of the danger for Rishi Sunak, because he has a lot of political capital spent on this Brexit deal, but actually the kind of bread and butter issues, those issues that really matter to people, are perhaps being on the back burner slightly as he tries to get this final bit of Brexit, or almost final bit of Brexit, across the line.